An entrepreneur, a world record tango dancer, and a Chinese kickboxing champ. But he's best known for his series of best-selling 4-hour books.
His new book uses food to teach life's lessons. It's called The 4-Hour Chef, The Simple Path to Cooking Like a Pro, Learning Anything and Living the Good Life. Tim Ferris joins us now. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I have known you for exercise, for all kinds of things in terms of self-improvement. Why turn to cooking?
Because cooking was one of the few skills that I had failed over and over and over again. And my readers have been asking me for a book on learning for several years, and I thought, what better way to show the principles and techniques than to tackle something that I had avoided for 20 years.
So those readers have found what in your methodology?
I think what they found are a collection of techniques, very few of which I've created, such as the 80-20 principle or Pareto's law, where they look for the 20% of activities that produce 80% or more of the results. But you could also take that and apply it to foreign vocabulary if you're trying to learn Spanish, say, or tango, or Chinese kickboxing, or swimming or basketball. I couldn't swim until a few years ago, and I used the same process.
No, because you say, Tim, that anybody can learn to do anything in 6 months if shown the right process. You call it meta-learning. How does that work exactly?
So meta-learning, if you think about, for instance, when we go to school, at least traditionally speaking, you learn subjects. So you learn math, you learn English, but you're never taught, for instance, how to read properly, how to read quickly. You're never taught how to deconstruct a complex subject so that you can approach it in a really logical fashion. So what I did is I took the last 2 years and I looked at people like Josh Waitzkin, who's here in New York City, who was the basis for searching for Bobby Fischer, and actually learned chess in reverse with his coach. He started with the endgame. Or people like Daniel Tammet in the UK who learned Icelandic well enough in 7 days to be interviewed on TV in Icelandic. And then trying to pick out the commonalities. What do they use? How do they look at things? How do they question the assumptions? And then putting that into a blueprint that anyone can apply to whatever skill they want to tackle. Whether that's, in some cases, something they put on the shelf, like guitar, or whatever it might be.
So in consideration of all that, how difficult was it to attack cooking?
It was really difficult for me because I had no basis for, let's say, memorizing flavors. I found remembering tastes to be really difficult. And so working with my girlfriend in the kitchen, she was very, very patient with me because I would ask her maybe 20 times a week, is this basil? Is this basil? What is this? It's basil. And just trying to figure out how to facilitate that process. So there were researchers at something called the Manel Sensory Institute, and they taught me that there are actually taste receptors not only in the mouth, but in the throat and in the stomach. And so I was able to kind of hack it.
But you also use the term chef, though,
yes,
Tim, as being the boss of your own life.
Right, exactly.
So what should we take away from that?
I think what we should take away from it is that if you want to maximize your potential, you have to be as self-reliant as possible. And the Archimedes lever for doing that is increasing your learning speed and the scope of your learning. And it does not have to be complicated. That's what I would say. And being the boss of your life, being the jefe, right, the director instead of the spectator, applies not only to you, but the people around you. So you can take the same skills and teach your kids or your friends, whatever it might be.
You know, when Gail goes to a restaurant, she gets this VIP treatment.
Yes.
And you suggest that others can do that,
like
too.
You don't. Hello, Mr. Pot, calling the kettle black. Come on now, Charlie Rose. So for people who would like the VIP treatment, yes.
There are a few tricks you can use.
Give us your top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips. All right. The first is actually borrowed from Will Schwalbe, who used to be an editor of cookbooks. And when you go to the restaurant, you should ask the waiter, all right, what is the most popular dish and also the chef's favorite dish that doesn't get ordered enough? Number 1. And you'll often have chefs come out and talk to you just because of that. Number 2 is it's about frequency, not tipping an extra 5%.
They're on a regular basis.
Especially Tuesday to Thursday. That's when they experiment with the menus. And then last, I would say, whenever possible, try to sit at the pass, which is where they finish plating the dishes, and you'll have a chance to speak with the actual line cooks.
There you go. 4-Hour Chef tomorrow on CBS. That does it for us.